Hi, I'm David. I want to tell you a story about the golden age of... But before we start, I have a question for you. Do you know this place? I'm sure you do. Oh, sorry, I forgot to add something. Here you go. So, now I can start my story about the golden age of Hollywood. At the beginning of the 20th century, Hollywood was a small town with around 500 inhabitants. It had a post office, a newspaper, a hotel, and two markets. In the early 1900s, filmmakers began moving to the Los Angeles area to get away from the strict rules imposed by Thomas Edison's Motion Picture Patents Company in New Jersey. The first motion picture studio was built in 1919 in nearby Edendale, just east of Hollywood, by Selig Polyscope Company, and the first one built in Hollywood was founded by filmmaker David Horsley's general manager Al Christie in 1911 in an old building of the southeast corner of Sunset Boulevard and Gower Street. Movie studios began to crop up all over Hollywood, including ones for Cecil B. DeMille in 1913, the Charlie Chaplin Studio in 1917, and many others. Before the end of the First World War, Hollywood was just one of a number of locations where films were made. It hardly mattered to an audience whether a film was made in Hollywood, Berlin, Rome, London, Paris, or New York. But by 1920, economic pressures had arisen that would lead to the dominance of Hollywood. There was only one real winner at the end of the war, America. It had come in at the very end of the conflict, suffered relatively few casualties, and was now reaping the benefits. Its economy was booming, the roaring 20s, whereas the European powers had to cope the enormous problems that the war had caused. The true golden age of cinema commenced in the early 1920s and ended in 1934 with advent of the Hays Code. During this period, Hollywood was the international center of excellence, drawing on talent from across the world. In the 1920s, Hollywood was not so much American as international. Films were expected to cover their costs within the US, but the profits were made overseas. And although the people who made the films were predominantly Americans, these were the carpenters, the scene painters, the extras, the typists, and people who filled the whole gamut of the lesser paid jobs. But it was different with the producers, directors, and major stars. A high proportion had been born outside the US. Producers: Sam Goldwyn, Louis B. Mayer. Directors: Charles Chaplin, Ernst Lubitsch. Actors: Greta Garbo, Marlene Dietrich, Rudolph Valentino. Booming business was sustained by heavy labor. Where better for the worker to escape the day's drudgery than the movie theater? And millions did. By 1925, movie production ranked at the nation's fourth largest industry, making in annual receipts of $2 billion and giving out an average 700 films per year. At the time, 40 million people visited theaters each week. By decade's end, that number would reach 100 million, an impressive amount considering the nation's entire population was 122 million. The movies were a unifying event for the people. Everyone, no matter their status, saw the same films, copied the dress or hairstyles of the stars, and bought the same fan magazines to learn of the latest celebrity gossip. Films made during the golden age of Hollywood were very much part of a dream factory. To the audiences of the time, they presented a fantasy, something beyond what the audience had or could ever have. They were a departure from reality. I'm asking my friends about their favorite films and actors of the golden age of Hollywood.
I like comedies, Max Linder, Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton. I like Charlie Chaplin. He's so funny.
Yes, all of us are very familiar with the mustachioed little tramp with the bowler hat and cane, Charlie Chaplin. But behind this little fellow lurked an extremely creative filmmaker who scripted, directed, and starred in some of the best films of the century. For a century, the movie industry has been the nation's most important purveyor of culture and entertainment to the masses. Today's Hollywood has a different look than 90 years ago, and different heroes. Many Americans worry about Hollywood's future, saying they don't make movies like they used to. Whether film will continue to serve as the nation's primary instrument of cultural expression, reflecting and also shaping values and cultural ideas, remains to be seen.